Hello everyone and welcome back. We have a great show for you today and some new faces this semester. In studio we have Khadijah Griffiths and Jonathan Knight. I'm Jillian Seach and this is Eagle Sports Update. It was a busy homecoming weekend for Eastern Michigan sports, as it all kicked off this past Thursday as the women's soccer team headed on the road to Bowling Green, and women's volleyball was on the road at Central Michigan, and our women's tennis was on the road at Purdue. But the big news from this weekend was when the EMU football team took on the Toledo Rockets in a homecoming matchup, which had the 10th largest crowd at Rynearson Stadium. The Eagles fell to the Rockets 35-20 Saturday afternoon. Brogan Roback led the Eagles with throwing 255 yards and one touchdown. Sergio Bailey had 5 catches for a career best 89 yards. Coach Creighton spoke on the game and how it was a disappointing loss. We made more mistakes than they did. Brogan Roback, during the press conference, said, "Tough running game at first. We were 2 of 10 for third downs. Now, this was an important game for our school, being our homecoming game, and with the way this season has been going so far, seems to have the campus in an optimistic mood for the season thus far." I want to open it up and get your thoughts now on what you guys thought the game was like.
You know, I really have to say that I think this homecoming game was very, very well put. Eastern held Toledo to 7 points in just the first quarter. It was a back and forth there for a few minutes until the Rockets actually got open and they got a touchdown there towards the end of the first quarter, making it 7-0. I think you really saw them struggling there towards the second quarter, going into the second half of the game. The Eagles really struggled against a very strong Toledo Rockets team. Last weekend they played against BYU in a very, very tough game where they only lost by 3 points, 55-52. So it's one of those things when you play a very tough team like Toledo in a big matchup like this. It's one of the toughest games that we had probably this season going into this coming up weekend and the weekend following when we play Ohio and Western.
Okay. Khadijah, what were your thoughts?
It was a tough game. Our passing game was underrated. We mostly had like a running game. Our running game was really good in the first half. And when it gets to the second half, we had like a couple of touchdowns, a couple of runs. We converted on a couple of third downs. But the penalties are the things that like really held us back from winning. And I think if we would have had less penalties, especially like from both sides, we could have won that game.
Okay.
So.
And then, despite it being a loss, did you guys have any players that you thought stood out to you? Or?
You know, you had spoke about at the beginning, Brogan, you know, he played a better game. It was his first full start going into this season, being that he was the backup and he missed the first few games due to a suspension reason that nobody really knows why. But having him back, he did a better job. He had 255 passing yards. The team had 62 rushing yards. It was more of a low. It seemed like Ian Erickson didn't really produce as much as he had been in the past previous games. And I think that was because of a strong Toledo Rockets defense.
Okay.
Same. I look at the quarterback because I know in a couple of few games previous he wasn't starting because of the suspension. But this game this past week, I didn't really know what to expect because I haven't seen him in a while. But he did pretty good, especially on the passing game. The passing game was great. He kind of like froze up in the last couple of minutes when he threw that interception. Well, it got tipped and then he had an interception, but that's when it all looked bad. But he had an excellent game outside of that. So
just a few more notes to make. I think the big thing that caused that error when it was 28-20 going into the fourth quarter, the biggest mistake and was the when the two on the kick return when the two guys collided, and that was the dominoes falling. And that's really what it is. Coach Creighton did say yesterday in his Monday press conference that the Eagles have to be smarter when they go into play in Ohio. And Ohio is a really tough team. They have not beaten Ohio in 6 straight games. They've last time they won against them was '99.
Okay, and kind of going off of that, do you guys have predictions for the next game?
Eastern's going to win it. It'll be a close game. They have to play smart. It'll be a tough game, but they should be able to pull it out.
Yes, EMU, go Eagles. We're definitely going to win. This is like the best start from I think 95. So I think this loss, homecoming, all the jitters are out. Next week they're going to win, definitely.
All right. Well, the Eagles are now 4-2 overall and 1-1 in the MAC. The Eagles will head to Athens, Ohio Saturday for a 2 p.m. game against the Bobcats of Ohio University. The Eagles have not won a game against Ohio since '99 and have dropped 6 straight. Bobcats are 2-0 after a win this past weekend against Bowling Green at home, 30-24. That game is slated for a 2 p.m. start, which can be viewed on ESPN3. Moving next door to the Scicluna Field, this weekend, freshman Sabrina McNeil led the EMU women's soccer team to a thrilling 2-1 victory over the University of Toledo Rockets on Sunday. Toledo held an 8-6 edge in shots in the first half, but the Eagles gained a 1-0 lead in the match. Carrying the lead into the break, the Green and White spent a majority of the second half fending off attacks from the Rockets. Holding off corners and free kicks, the Eagles' lone goal lead stood until the 75th minute. The Eagles had a few scoring chances over the final 15 minutes of regulation, but came up empty. Beginning the extra period with possession, the Green and White took it to the Toledo defense. McNeil ripped a shot and found the back of the net, giving EMU a 2-1 overtime victory over the Rockets in the 96th minute. Once again, I'm going to open it up to both of you to give us your insights on the game. Khadijah, do you want to start out?
Sure, of course. So the soccer team, they the last 2 games, they've been into like overtime. I know it was a tough loss last week when they lost in double overtime, but this week they went into overtime once again, but they won. Definitely in the first half, the opponents, they had more scoring shots, 8-6 like you stated. They had more scoring shots, but the Eagles still came out on top with 1 point. Second half, the opponent scored, and then overtime, that's when we showed up. That's when we had to do what we had to do, and we scored. So the soccer team, they're looking really great for this semester, and this year, I can't wait to see how they go on in the season.
All right. Jonathan, your thoughts?
The girls, it started out slow in that game. Scott Hall really got the girls going. Scott was very optimistic after getting a big win against Bowling Green on Thursday night, which was a win that the soccer team needed and a win that Coach Hall really had to get. The team had been really struggling, so coming out of this game and really going into it, we really were optimistic about getting this win. It was a win we had to have. It was 6 points we needed to get. The girls, they came out with the momentum. They came out driving hard. Toledo's a tough team, but they really, really pushed it. Having Sabrina in there, as I call her, she's a little Sonic the Hedgehog, the way she moves up and down the field. They were trying some new schemes out, new defensive and offensive plays that they've been working on that I've seen in practice. So I think one of the big things that they really did work on was getting that to the back post and the inside post to really put that in. And that last goal that Sabrina helped put in over there, coming up the left side and putting it towards the back post, was a big goal. And it was a good win for them going into this weekend when we have some big matches.
All right, and kind of going off of Sabrina, would you say she's your player of the game or one that you thought stood out? Or?
Oh, yeah, 100% she was the player of the game. I wouldn't be surprised if she's not MAC Player of the Week. She's a freshman. She came in here strong. She came in from Ontario, Canada. This is something that I know Coach Hall spoke about at the beginning of the season, of having her with no Michaela Cup and having a few other injuries out there. She really came in and filled that goal and filled that slot that we needed to have to be able to keep driving it up. The team has struggled a little bit here and there and made some major mistakes minimal mistakes. But I think now that they're on the right path, and we have a big weekend coming in with that.
All right, any thoughts for you, Khadijah?
Well, I kind of have a prediction.
Okay.
I know, and next Friday we play, and Sunday we play, and Sunday is senior night. I'm just hoping that we don't go into overtime again, because overtimes they're grueling, man. They're already going into like 70 plus minutes. So if they don't go into overtime, I really believe that we'll do great in the next 2 games.
Now, just kind of going off what you're saying, the EMU women's soccer team is 12-7-4 all-time versus Ohio, which we played them at 4 o'clock on Friday at Scicluna Field. They won last year 3-1, and that was on the road at Ohio. And Kent State, which is undefeated in the MAC, and they're 10-1 overall this season. They're a very tough team coming into play on senior day. We're 12-9-0 all time against them. We did lose to them last year, 0-3, but it's a big game coming Sunday, so I hope everybody comes out to check it out.
Definitely.
All right. Our Eagles will close out a 4-game homestand when they host Ohio University on Friday, October 14th. We'll take a quick break, but when we return, we'll talk about volleyball and a few predictions for our upcoming athletic seasons and some newcomers to the game here at Eastern. So don't touch that dial.
Are you an EMU student interested in getting a first-hand experience working at a radio station? Well, say no more. EMU offers a class through Eagle Radio that will thoroughly prepare you for a real-life experience. But first, you have to register for the class. Pick a date and a time slot. Then the world is yours. Eagle Radio allows you to be fully independent and customize your own show. Have real conversations about the news, celebrity gossip, update listeners about the weather, play a trivia game. It's your show. You're free to name your show whatever you want and play any edited music of your choice. If you love having heated debates and you feel your words need to be heard, then Eagle Radio is just for you.
Coming up fast, so I needed to go out shopping for something quick. I needed to move money from my savings to my checking account so I could use my debit card at the mall. I cracked open my laptop, hit the bookmark from my bank, and entered in my username and password. What the heck? I got sent back to the home page. So I entered in my username and password again, made the transfer, and went to the mall where I found this cool little necklace for my mom. That's good news, right? The bad news is the next week I went to make a purchase and they told me that I had insufficient funds to cover that purchase. Long story short, when I had logged into my bank the first time, I got redirected to a fake site that stole my username and password. I guess I got a virus that redirected my bookmark. The thieves had a field day with my account. I wish I had known then what I know now. You have to check and make sure you're really on your bank's website. This can be done by either recognizing an image you've selected or clicking a lock or VeriSafe icon and comparing the bank's web address to a web address you've got on our certificate. My name is Luke, and I'm trying to be e-safe.
And welcome back, Eagles. On October 8th, the Eastern Michigan volleyball team lost in 5 sets against Ohio University in a Mid-American Conference play. The Eagles fell 25-18, 23-25, 22-25, 29-19, and 15-8. The Eagles have lost their last 3 games and have fallen to 7-12 and 2-4 in MAC play. Even in their loss, the Eagles saw good signs from a few of their players. Freshman Rachel Irby posted career best in kills. She had 18 kills in play versus the Bobcats of Ohio University. Freshman Riley Taylor had a best 50 assists while having a high of 4 aces and 11 digs. As a team, the Eagles hit .217 and the Bobcats had a .288 percentage. In the first set, the Eagles fell behind early, losing 25-18 to Ohio. In this set, Irby and Murray grabbed 5 kills and Taylor grabbed 14 of her 50 assists. In set 2, the Eagles came back from behind to win 25-23. Murray had another 5 kills. In the third set, EMU defeated Ohio 25-22, which gave the Eagles a 2-1 advantage over the Bobcats. In the fourth set, the Ohio University Bobcats scored a .355 percentage, which resulted in an Eagles loss, 18-25. In the final set, the Bobcats came out firing, posting a .733 percentage in a 15-8 victory. The Eastern Michigan Eagles look to regain their focus Friday, October 14th, when they take on Bowling Green State University at the Convocation Center at 7 p.m. Now, we know our basketball season will be coming up, and we have some new faces on the scene. I know, John, you were telling me a bit more about this.
That's correct. The EMU women's basketball team has just added a new head coach in Coach Fred Castro. He's joining us as an assistant coach last year from the Washington Huskies. I've spoke with him a few times. They just had their first full practice the other day. I got a glimpse of a little bit of what was going on there during warm-ups and everything yesterday. They're really excited. They have their first home game coming up at the Convocation Center November 7th. And what else?
So going off that, what do you think about their upcoming season?
You know, I think Fred Castro's got a lot to fill those shoes with from last year from Verdi. They've really got to return to the Q and the MAC tournament like they did last year. The girls did come up shy last year in the MAC basketball tournament with a very, very tough loss in that tournament, and we really just got to fight to get back there.
All right, and then are there any players you think need to step up, or?
You know, honestly, that whole roster is all new, so I have not got a chance to really take a deep look at the roster, get a chance to meet any of the Lady Eagles on the team and whatnot. So it's a new roster. There's a lot of new faces for the team this year. New coach, all new coaching staff, so we'll have to see. And the men kickoff too coming up here soon too. So it should be another good basketball season coming up, and between Castro and Murphy.
All right, we definitely are looking forward to that. And do you have any thoughts, Khadijah?
Well, with the women's basketball, the last 2 seasons, they came up short, but they played their heart out in the last 2 seasons. So I'm expecting the same this season. Hopefully we can go a little bit further than we did in the last 2 years. But I think it's a new team, new coaching staff, like you said. They're going to be excited. They're going to have jitters. But I think after the first couple of games, we're going to see what they're really about, and they're going to go far.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in this week. This was fun, and I look forward to working with you two this semester.
Yeah, I think we make a pretty good team.
Yeah, you know, it's going to be a great time. We'll kick back and talk some good old sports.
Absolutely.
Well, join us next time in the same place. He wrote it too.
Before people look in our sports.
Roll credits.